screams.
10 unanswered questions.
Who gives a fuck about movies?
Number 1.
Who gives a fuck about movies? You do.
Dog, you stole every single piece of police evidence there is because your son was obsessed with the stab movies. I think you're guilty by association.
Richie really loved them.
Now let's talk about Greg and Jason.
Wait. No.
Number 2.
We have to finish the movie.
How were they going to finish Richie's film? What film were they trying to finish? Are they talking about Richie's attempt to recreate Stab 8 as a real-life requel? And to make it a legacy movie as good as the original Stab movie? If so, they've already lost. As I stated in the last video, Richie and Amber's movie would have never been made, since they legally can't use Sydney's story anymore. That's why the Stab franchise has resulted in dumb things like time travel, having Stab movies inside Stab movies, and they rebooted the franchise in Stab 8 without the legacy characters. Hollywood has moved on from that. Greg and Jason's motive already collapses on each other. The film never really explains why they idolize Richie so much, but you can see they have a shrine in their apartment of Stab. Richie didn't like any of the Stab sequels whatsoever, only the original.
No one has made a great Stab movie since the first one.
They don't even like the same movies. They're not even on the same page. And Jason killed his film professor because he got a C on his paper.
Now I see something red.
She was a person, our film professor.
She gave me a C- on my Jalo paper.
Okay. Kirby, who now works for the FBI, was already onto them. She was already monitoring their online activity for months.
I've been investigating their online activity for the past few months.
So if the FBI was already onto them, they're fucked from the get-go. But then again, Scream does have some of the dumbest cops and FBI agents in horror history, and we'll get to that soon. But there are so many missing components here that just doesn't make sense. Bailey could have used Jason and Greg to take heat off him. They were already planning to kill Sam and Tara.
Jason and Greg were gonna kill you and your sister. I gutted them before they had the chance.
It would have been the perfect cover. The shrine was also in their name, which was nothing but stolen police evidence, so everything could have been linked back to them.
Apparently they used fake names to rent this place.
But instead, Bailey had to have a pissing contest and off them anyway, because he had to play the "you don't get to kill them, I am" angle. I can't speak for anybody but myself, but I am beyond tired of these killers being obsessed with Stab movies. We're 6 films in the Scream franchise right now, and 8 movies into the Stab franchise. And these killers are obsessed with these in-universe movies that we the audience know nothing about. The only thing we get is a few blink and you miss it inserts and movie posters. Yet somehow that's enough to drive fans crazy to turn them into killers, because they're trying to save or redeem the franchise. So seriously, how many times are we going to recycle the same motive? I get the meta commentary, but at this point we've had multiple killers now whose entire motivation hinges on an in-universe franchise that we the audience barely understands or has any real attachment to. Tell us about the Stab franchise if this is going to keep going.
Number 3.
Why is everybody so confused about this murder board? Everybody being the cops and the FBI. And
I'm just gonna tase you in the balls real quick.
Boy, do I feel sorry for you.
even if we totally scratch that murder board, why does this timeline keep contradicting itself? I generally don't like talking about things everybody else talks about, like Scream 6's date board, which totally blows the timeline out of whack. But this is an exception, because I'm going to take this even further and use other evidence besides this board that nobody else talks about to try to figure out what the hell is going on. The murder board lists Amber and Richie's death as happening in 2022, but the reporter in Scream 5 says that the killings took place almost 25 years to the date of the original murders.
25 years ago, almost to the day, in this very house.
That would take place in 2021, not 2022. But again, this is common knowledge. Let's dig deeper. Tara's hospital wristband in Scream 5 shows she was born on December 14th, 2002. In Scream 6, Kirby says that Amber and Richie was killed last year, which would place this film, Scream 6, in 2023.
That means Tara is 20,
about to be 21, since Scream 6 takes place in October and her birthday is in December. That's a little bit old to be a college freshman, but we'll let it slide. That also means she was almost 20 years old when she was graduating high school. But let's give him that year buffer to see if this works, because we're going to come back to this. Roman's death is dated as 2000, Roman tells Sydney that he tracked Maureen down 4 years ago.
And 4 years ago, I actually tracked her down.
Maureen was killed in 1995, a year before the events of the original film. Now, throughout all this confusion, one thing's for sure. These two dates are in concrete. Scream 1 happened in 1996, and Maureen was killed in 1995. We know that for a fact. But since Roman claims 4 years, that means Scream 3 would have to take place in 1999, not 2000. Another big debate is Scream 2. Scream 2 is explicitly stated to take place 2 years after the original film. A lot of people debate this and say it's supposed to be 1 year after, but this is not true. Now hear me out on this. I am only stating what the previous films have said in the past. None of this is speculation. There's multiple times in Scream 2 where they say there's been a 2-year buffer, not 1. There's a movie theater scene.
It's a true story. All these kids got killed a couple years ago in California.
Even Gail Weathers herself states it's been 2 years.
Tell us everything that's happened looking back on the last 2 years.
Yet this murder board lists Mrs. Loomis and Mickey dying in 1997, not 1998. Nope, this can't be.
Wrong-o.
In Scream 5, Amber tells the friend group that Sam left on her 18th birthday.
On Sam's 18th birthday, she leaves, goes to the mall.
That will place Sam's departure on May 19th, 2015. We can see a reference date on Sam's license. We can see her birthday. Tara also says that Sam's been gone for 5 years.
You're gone for 5 years. 5 whole years, and then I get stabbed and you want to come back?
Which would place her return in 2020, not 2021 or 2022. So this doesn't line up with anything at all. It will be over 7 years. Even if Sam left at the very end of being 18 in May 2016, her return would still cap out about 2021, not 2022, as Scream 6 suggests. And timeline-wise, Sam and Kirby couldn't have gone to high school together.
Kirby? Hey, Sam. We went to Woodsboro High together. She was a senior when I was a freshman.
Scream 5 establishes that Sam is 5 years older than Tara. Sam was 13 when Tara was 8.
Walks right out when Tara's 8. Sam's 13. Sam started acting out.
Tara is still in high school in Scream 5, which would realistically put her about 17, 18, or 19 years old at the latest. Realistically 18 at the most. That will make Sam around 23 years old. Kirby, however, states she's 30 years old.
When did they start letting children into the FBI? I'm 30.
That's a 7-year gap.
So it makes sense to say that Kirby was born in 1993, Sam in 1997, and Tara in 2002. But what doesn't make sense is placing Scream 5 in 2022, when Tara is graduating when she's almost 20 years old.
Absolutely nothing lines up with this timeline. So I highly fucking doubt Sam's birthday is wrong on her license. And I highly fucking doubt that someone just time traveled and changed the dates and fucked up the whole program. The murder board, the previous dates listed in the previous films, Sam's age, Tara's age, Kirby's age, you can't connect any of it. If Scream 6 is supposed to take place near Halloween 2023, Sam is 26 years old, which makes Tara 21 years old, which means she graduated high school at 20. Don't understand? Don't worry, nobody else does either. The only thing that makes sense is that these dates on this board is wrong, but even that doesn't fix the issue. These dates on the board mean absolutely nothing, because even the ages of the Carpenter sisters doesn't make logical sense. No matter how much you try to piece together this puzzle, the pieces just don't simply fit.
The bodies hit the...
Who did Bailey kill to replace Quinn's, not Quinn's, body? How was this ever going to work for Quinn, not Quinn? Short one here, but Wayne somehow sneaks a full corpse into Quinn's apartment without anyone noticing, then assumes he can pass it off as her, like the coroner wouldn't immediately notice this. And you know, autopsy. These days, DNA evidence is so crucial in investigations. Now believe it or not, I'm not one to nitpick about small details like this, unless it's a plot point. And DNA plays a crucial part in this whole plot, so I can't ignore it.
DNA says that it belonged to someone named Richie Kirsch. DNA traces of 2 individuals, Charlie Walker, Joe Roberts. It's a DNA match for Roman Bridger. DNA traces of the DNA.
So it's not like we can rule it out. But even if that miracle worked, what is the end game for Quinn, not Quinn? She would have to assume another fake identity and never show her face in public again. They did all of this just to fool people that was going to kill anyway. I'll go more into detail about that shortly, but it's not like this family had some huge plastic surgery makeover. They're just using fake names. Do you know the power of social media these days? You're exposed. And I only say that because social media plays a huge part in this film. She would never be safe after these murders. After these notorious Woodsboro murders continue all the way across the country to one of the biggest cities in America, where news of it is already spreading like wildfire. Why risk your entire livelihood over a handful of people you're going to kill anyway? So instead of her stabby Sam and Tara while they're asleep, because she's already right there with them as a roommate, she's using a fake name. They fake her death, swap it out with another corpse into that already hot crime scene, and make it to where Quinn can never show her face in public again. Call me loco, Holmes, but it seems like to me you took the long way around. You made this 500 times more difficult than it should have been. You're their roommate. You're alone with them during the day sometimes, at nighttime. Just get them trashed with some booze and get it done, and then disappear. But no.
Number 6.
Rapid fire round. Scream has some serious doppelganger action going on. If we're not breaking the fourth wall, like always, I couldn't help but notice these Addams Family dolls, which weirdly means, in this universe, Jenna Ortega exists, which would be Tara's doppelganger. People at the party even dress up as her. Speaking of doppelgangers, the girl on the subway, dressed up as Grace from Ready or Not, is a neat touch, because it also means that this film professor is technically a doppelganger too. Imagine that. One of the best details in this movie is the train scene where Ghostface disappears, but he is still staring at Mindy through this window. Love it. Speaking of the train scenes, Mindy and Ethan are on platform 96 waiting for the train. 96 is the OG Scream release date. Another reference I never hear anybody talk about is this nod to Lucy Hale's character, Sherry, in the opening of Stab 6 and Scream 4. Nice little callback there. Ethan dressed as the Knight from Murder Party is the biggest and best horror deep cut I've seen that nobody also doesn't talk about. Ethan offers Chad some Cheetos. Kenny was eating Cheetos in his van in the first Scream. Oh! Meta. Jason in New York, watching a film about Jason in New York. I wonder where the mom in this fucked up family is. Where is Mamacita?
The end.
Instead of breaking these down into further questions or sections, I'll just make these last 4 questions a huge long rant. Full disclaimer, I actually like Scream 6. I thought it was a step up from Scream 5. I liked the change of scenery. It had good attack scenes. I love the third act, when Sam essentially becomes Ghostface and follows in Billy's footsteps. I love the shrine. But the reveal of these characters is so fucking dumb that I lost brain cells watching it. First off, let's just start with the shrine. As much as I love it, it's kind of illogical.
Hey, how'd they get all this stuff? I mean, isn't this evidence?
Tara, I asked myself the same exact question.
Cops like money. Evidence can get lost pretty easily.
Cops like money? Of course they do. But listen, even by horror movie standards, this is ridiculously moronic. There's a difference between a little bit of evidence going missing here and there and every piece of evidence of every Ghostface crime in history. So you're telling me that every single piece of evidence has been stolen from the last 25 to 30 years and no one picked up on this, despite this being an active investigation. This isn't just as simple as this case magically landing on Bailey's desk. He doesn't handle this by himself. Hell, even in the movie, the FBI comes in to help investigate. But they're not the only ones. This would be a cross-state investigation, since in the past, these crimes took place in California. So you would have Woodsboro PD, Los Angeles PD, the Ohio PD jurisdiction, where the Windsor College took place, the NYPD is involved, and now the FBI is involved. So you're telling me that out of these 5 different investigative law enforcement investigators are looking into these crimes, trying to see how they tie into the past and the previous Ghostface motives. Not a single person of these 5 different jurisdictions thought to look at old evidence. All of these people from these 5 jurisdictions have to be involved because there are stolen Ghostface masks, which is stolen evidence from their respective jurisdictions, were planted at the newest crime scenes. You see what I'm saying here? And I can't stress enough some of the importance of some of these items in this shrine. I'm sure you know about the heavy hitters, the Ghostface robes, the murder weapons, the outfits. But we're about to go into great detail, my friend. Let's just do them rapid fire.
All 9 Ghostface robes, Billy's knife, the TV that killed Stu Mocker, the umbrella Sidney stabbed Billy with, Billy's bloody t-shirt, the rope used to hang Casey Becker, Dewey's badges and his gun, Charlie's knife, Tatum's outfit, Kenny's camera, The knife used to stab Casey Becker. Stu's robe. Roman Bridger's voice changer. Randy's video store t-shirt. Casey Becker's rope swing. Olivia's outfit. The scissors used to kill Principal Hembry. Randy's video store ID badge and VHS tape. Jennifer Jolie's fax machine and a lighter. Steve Orr's Letterman jacket. Stabathon merch. Props from Stab 3 production. A Cotton Weary poster from Scream 3. LAPD Cavalier vest. Roman Bridger's happy birthday banner. Jill and Trevor's outfit. The ice pick Sidney used to stab Roman. Gail's book about all the Ghostface murders. A Windsor College sweatshirt. A Woodsboro High School flag. Kenny's baseball cap and jacket. Sidney's book from Scream 4. Nancy Loomis's suit. A Woodsboro police officer uniform. Props from the Scream 2 college play. A frying pan used against Steve Stone. Decor from the Stab 3 office. The garage door Tatum was killed with. And multiple sketches of CC, Billy Loomis, and more and more and more and more.
All of that, and no one noticed, huh? And that's not even the worst part of the shrine. The worst part of this shrine is that Gail Weathers, a journalist, found this.
It's called investigative journalism for a reason.
And not Kirby, the FBI.
How didn't you find it? Weren't you tracking them?
And don't forget, despite the full warehouse size of evidence and an active FBI agent investigating this case, none of this evidence is ever seized. Matter of fact, they leave the shrine, and they just leave the shit there for nearly an entire day until they come back later that night for the showdown. If this isn't an example of some of the worst investigative law enforcement in horror history, I don't know what is. And this isn't even the tip of the iceberg. Let's talk about Bailey not Bailey, Quinn not Quinn, and Ethan not Ethan. I want to remind everyone, despite how much of a clusterfuck this all is, Scream 6 could have been avoided by simply looking at a picture of Richie's family. That's it. There's no if, ands, this, that. Nah. If any of these morons in the friend group, the Carpenter sisters, Sam, who dated Richie, Mindy, the horror movie expert, Gail Weathers, who has experienced this 6 times now, the NYPD, Woodsboro PD, Kirby in the FB motherfucking I, Ohio PD, anybody would have looked at a picture of Richie's immediate family, all this could have been avoided. I'm sure that with the history of Ghostface killers being family of previous killers, this would have set off a light bulb. But apparently not a single person in this 8 billion Earth population thought to look at a picture of Richie's family. Especially not multiple law enforcement agencies. In this day and age, social media, nobody is safe. You're exposed. There's literally an entire subreddit with nearly 400,000 members claiming Richie was innocent. I'm sure one of them 500,000 people, one of them posts is about Richie's mourning family, who went on their own account of trying to binge find some old photos of Richie and his family. These pictures have to exist, and they would use these pictures to defame Sam. Sam and Tara moved literally across the entire country to get away from the shadow of the Woodsboro murders. And it still found them. People still recognize them from across the country.
Where from?
Michigan.
Aren't you that girl involved in that stab shit in California last year?
Murderer! This crazy rumor started online that I framed them.
And there's multiple news coverage about Sam being the prime suspect and talking about the killings last year.
That the prime suspect is none other than Samantha Carpenter.
What the hell?
One of the survivors of the Woodsboro killings in 2022.
So if Sam Carpenter is New York's new public enemy, number one, and Richie is now the good guy who was just framed, according to the social media, why did Wayne not Wayne, Quinn not Quinn, and Ethan not Ethan think it was a good idea to show their face in public? So just to recap, instead of just dressing up in costumes and pulling out the Glock and just busting the Carpenter sisters, or having Quinn do it since, you know, she's their fucking roommate, off them in their sleep because, you know, Quinn is alone with them every night. This family instead stole every piece of Ghostface evidence in existence, followed Sam and Tara to New York. Wayne somehow, by the grace of Chris Angel's dick, walked into the NYPD with nothing but a fake name and took the world by storm and fooled everybody. Gave his kids a fake name. Somehow enrolled his kids at the same college as Tara. Somehow got Quinn to room with Sam and Tara, even though the ad was anonymous.
It was an anonymous ad, Mindy.
Ethan somehow did the same thing with Chad.
Okay, wait, why am I on the suspect list? Because I'm randomly Chad's roommate?
Roommate lotteries can be juked.
Fake Quinn's death by killing somebody else random that looks like her, planting that corpse at the crime scene, like the coroner and autopsies wouldn't eventually find out, planted said stolen evidence at crime scenes, helped the goddamn FBI investigate it all, linking the previous Ghostface's victims, and discussed the past and present motives, attacked the friend group in broad daylight in public multiple times with tons of people around, instead of just getting Quinn and Ethan to do it alone with them in a secluded space where they sleep in the next room every night, killed 2 other aspiring Ghostfaces, which would have been a perfect cover-up to pin the murders on them because they was murdering people anyway, and Kirby was already onto them.
I've been investigating their online activity for the past few months.
Did the whole peekaboo Ghostface game for days and days just to fool this one friend group who they was gonna kill anyway, risking showing their face in public when all somebody has to do, whether it be the friend group, the legacy characters, Woodsboro PD, LAPD, Ohio PD, and for Christ's sakes, Kirby, the FBI, or any other of the millions of people who hate Sam and love Richie, who worship them on the internet, was simply look at a goddamn picture of Richie's immediate family. I mean, a snail who fell into a dust bowl of cocaine could have figured this out. This entire film could have been prevented if all they did was look at a picture of Richie's dad, Richie's brother, Richie's sister. Case closed. I mean, if these teenagers and young adults in New York can figure it out, why can't the professionals? I mean, Jesus Christ. This is the worst reveal to date. What are we doing? Google, bitch. I'm done. Thank you guys so much for taking part of your day to kick it with me. You know I appreciate it. I will see you next week with a surprise video. And as soon as Scream 7 comes out, I will add that movie to this playlist. Be sure to follow the community post. Join the Discord. I'm on there every day. With that being said, if you have any theories about any film you want to see, drop it in the Discord. The Discord is absolutely free. It's just a hangout spot. We talk about a little bit of everything there, not just movies. Also have YouTube membership where you get early access to all of my videos. Sometimes I do giveaways. You'll get loyalty badges, custom emojis. The list goes on and on. It's very beneficial for you and me. Plus you'll be supporting me in this channel. So don't feel obligated, but it does help me out. So until next time guys, I will see you next week. I love you all. Adios.